You're listening to Shoreditch Radio. shoreditchradio.co.uk.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Phoebe. Now, I hope you had a great Easter weekend, but if you're feeling a bit fed up, then do not worry, as we have one hell of a show for you today. We have an interview with the hugely successful visual artist, Eugene Ankomah, and he'll be telling us of his new projects, as well as some other things, I'm sure. We will also be discussing a new piece of art which has been exhibited in New York's Modern Art Gallery, as well as our thoughts on insuring our body parts. And finally, our resident film critic, Joe Gwertz, will be in with us to chat about the newly released film Trance. And sewn in to all this amazing stuff, we will also be having discussions about some great new music. Hello and welcome back to Breakfast with Phoebe. Now, we are lucky enough to have Eugene Ankomah with us today. Now, he is a talented and unique visual artist. Originally born in the UK, Eugene moved to Ghana until the age of 13. Now, he is said to be part of the new generation of black artists in the UK. His work uses a diverse range of techniques and styles, from painting to performance art to even tribal art. And Eugene is becoming recognised worldwide. And some of his fans include the royal family, no big deal, quite jealous, and the wonderful paranormalist Eugene Geller. Eugene Geller, right?
Yuri Geller.
Yuri Geller.
That's it.
You know, I actually met him once, and I'm even saying his
great.
name wrong. He has won over 11 art awards and been described by the Daily Telegraph as the cream of up-and-coming talent. Nice compliment. So, hello, how are you?
Hello, Phoebe. I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Good. So let's start with the fact that how you got into art and a bit about if you've always been into art. So have you always been interested in different art forms, and what particular art forms?
Okay, well, the way I see it, I don't think I ever got into art. It feels like I couldn't have done anything different. And yes, I have always been sort of like interested in various art forms. So, you know, from like drawing to like putting things together and creating odd looking things. I think my brain I have a bit of a restless mind, if you know what I mean. So I keep grabbing and just experimenting and just trying all sorts of things, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so growing up in Africa, because you were lived in Africa since the age of 13.
That's right. Yeah.
How did that affect your art?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a baby, or should I say I was really, really young back in Ghana. So all I could do was just sort of like look around me and just draw, basically. And as you can imagine, you know, some parts of Africa have like, you know, you have like chicken running around. You see like birds interacting with people, all that sort of stuff. So these became some of the things that I used to look at and draw from. So you can imagine from that perspective, like visually, I had more than enough. You know,
Yeah.
It was just like raw stuff.
Vibrant,
It was
vibrant
great. It was
life
great.
around you.
Definitely.
Wow. And what would you say now, once being in England, your main focuses are within your art and your main themes?
Sure. I would say that, you know, as you probably know, the work has changed quite a bit because I get bored a little bit easily. So I go through a style maybe for like 2 years and then I completely switch to something completely different,
Right.
Along with my image. But I would say that lately it's sort of more been about young people that I've come in contact with and some of their concerns and, you know, like the way society looks at young people and all that sort of stuff, because I think there's been quite a bit in the news. So yeah, that's been my main focus.
So you want to kind of show a projection of young people,
Most definitely, yeah.
and in a positive light rather than a negative light.
Completely, yes. Yeah,
Right.
that's right. That's
Now
right.
you are currently sitting next to me,
Yes.
and Eugene has got the most fabulous outfit on: big top red hat, painted face, black trousers, and kind of, I'd say, a big green bow tie.
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell me a bit about your outfit? Because you do say that part of your art is an extension of yourself.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I can kind of see that in what
Yeah,
you're wearing now.
yeah.
So can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do say to people that what I'm wearing isn't, you know, an art piece, but it is part of my art, my ideas. And basically what you see is like an extension of my ideas. Other than that, I really am quite bored of men's fashion, I think. Because, you know, what we have is really limited.
Yeah.
And I'm really envious of what you women have. So this is my way of also making the stuff I want to wear a bit more interesting for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you, like, to me, it just looks like the inside of your brain. You know, you were saying you've got a really active brain and it's really amazing. It kind of looks like that's happened. It's kind of externalized.
Completely,
so
I
your
agree.
outfit right now is
I
kind
do
of
agree.
what's in your mind.
Most definitely.
And
Most
is this
definitely, yeah.
because you've got paint on you?
Yes.
Is that reflective at all in what you're currently working on?
It kind of is, but it's also like a constant reference to my culture and, you know, back home in Ghana and some of the stuff I used to see. So, for example, as you said, you know, I've got paint on my body, but, you know, I've got a top hat on. And if you're thinking about a top hat, you may probably think of an 18th century Victorian gentleman or something.
Yeah.
So it's like a cross, you know.
Between your...
That's right, you know, between what you know, the history of England, if you like it, and you know, what I saw back in Ghana, and it's sort of like
it's like the cross of identities.
It is, yeah. It's like sticking symbols together just to see what happens. You know? Yeah.
So you work a lot. I mean, even looking at you when you say it like that, so you've got kind of like top hat resembling England,
That's right.
kind of the, as you said, 18th century, rather like gentleman kind of feel
That's
about
right,
it.
yes.
And then you have the painting, I guess, tribal more,
That's
which is
right.
kind of very two different identities mixed together.
True,
and you do address identity in your artwork in general.
Most definitely. I mean, one of the things a lot of people know me for is the fact that whenever my work has changed, I have come out with a completely new, different image of myself to fit with the artworks.
Right.
So, you know, you may go back into my earlier works and you may see some tribal sculptures. And back at that time, you know, I made a couple of costumes which I wore to take photographs and to do a couple of performances. And in my current work, you know, I have kind of like come up with a couple of characters to fit with the works.
Right.
So my work changes, I change, and it's a way of myself making a statement or you know, stamping it down like, you know, I have changed type
so
of
it's
thing,
almost
yeah.
like you're visually, so by kind of putting on the outfit, it's like what's in your mind is not only going onto a piece of artwork which
That's
is
right.
external from you,
Yeah.
it's also actually literally part of you, which is an idea anyway. An idea is part of your brain anyway.
Most
so it's like
definitely.
you're just visualizing that.
It is, and I think a lot of artists create works, but we sometimes leave our personalities behind.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I'm interested in theatre. I'm interested in the idea of just playing. I'm just interested in, you know, like I said earlier, mixing things just to see what it is that happens, you know.
Right.
I'm not really interested in what I can do. I'm interested in just moving forward by sticking things together and then, you know, getting a little bit more into the unknown, you know, into that space, yeah.
So what are you currently working on at the moment that's your new
Sure.
project?
I've got a series of works called the Blacked Out Portraits, or the Blackout Portraits. And what it is was, it was all inspired by a group of young people that I spoke to about maybe a year before the riots happened. And I realized at that time that a lot of young people felt really judged, you know, and I could see a certain sense of personality loss, if I can call it that.
Sadness.
And it immediately inspired me. So I started creating these portraits, you know, that have no noses and, you know, no mouths.
Yeah, because
as
it's
a
very
way.
much they're covered up.
Precisely, and they're all kind of like black, done in mainly black spray paint and black ink. So that became my way of sort of expressing what I felt a lot of these young people were hiding from.
Yeah.
And when you look at the images, they look quite urban, but you can actually see.
Yeah, and they do. They look urban, but also quite depressing. I mean,
No, they do.
You can
Yeah,
see that there is
completely.
kind of a sadness beneath.
Yes, that's right.
Beneath what is hidden,
Yeah.
like behind the facade, perhaps of being
Exactly.
tough,
Yeah, almost
and
like masks,
rioting and
yeah.
things. There is a sense
Most
of kind of being
definitely.
quite fragile.
Yes.
And
yes.
because there's some paintings with candles
That's right.
on their heads. Is that
Yes.
kind of to show fragility, or
You can say fragility, but it's also a sense of hope. I mean, one of the things I've done is like taking the image of the hoodie, you know, the hardcore image of the hoodie, and in my image you have a candle on his head. So what he's trying to do is to project something that may be a bit scary, you know, when you look at it at first, but you know, with the candle, and you look into his eyes, and you know he's looking for hope.
yeah,
And you can see, as you said, the fragility within his eyes. So he's sort of begging to be freed from that
Yeah.
stigmatization. Yeah, really.
And do you think that, in your art, there's a lot, kind of like you see a lot of people who perhaps younger people who are seeing your art. If you had younger people coming to you, kind of saying, well, I kind of relate a lot to what you've done. Have you managed to succeed in what you've wanted to?
I think it's one of the most effective things I have ever done. I mean, I wish we had some of the young people here for you to hear from straight from them. But I get people walking into the studio, and without me saying a word, they have used words that completely describes, exactly what I'm trying to sort of project, and it's often amazed me because they use words, they express it in like different ways that just makes me know that it's really worked.
What you're doing,
which has just been a complete joy, really, because I feel like I'm speaking for them.
Yeah, and there's another. You've done some art, which is you did another piece, a collection called Cover Up.
That's right.
This one's Blacked Out. I mean, they seem to both have a similar theme of kind of like being something being hidden.
True.
And is that still all to do with the idea of kind of popular culture, or perhaps the media even kind of covering up your identity, or maybe what really is you?
That's right. And with the cover-ups, it was also about the idea that I feel like we live in a society where we take looking for granted. We see so much around us: TV, billboards, photographs. It's become a bit of a We've all developed a bit of a lazy eye, if I can call it that. It's like we don't question anymore. We just look and walk past. And the cover-ups was about covering things up in such a way that what you looked at or what you first saw wasn't necessarily what I was communicating. I wanted you to sort of be grabbed and see behind what I was using, under the wrapping tapes.
Yeah, and I can also, I guess that, by you dressing up as well and being part of the art, it's kind of also showing what your beliefs are.
Completely.
That, people are turning a blind eye, have a lazy eye to what's around you.
Yes.
But by showing kind of like what your beliefs are, look at me, it's eye-catching. It's kind of in a really bold way saying, stop being lazy.
That's it, exactly.
Perhaps.
Exactly. It's like, I feel like you have to wake people up. And the moment you wake them up, then they start to question and then they start to really look.
And what are your plans now in the future after you finish the Blacked Out project?
Well, to be honest, I'm sort of like about 2 projects ahead of what everybody's seen.
Right.
So I'm actually working in a whole new style which nobody's seen before.
And will that also change the way you look?
It will certainly change the way I look. I'll come out with a whole new outfit. I'll come out with a whole new prop.
Yeah.
I have some really exciting ideas. In terms of what that will entail, but also I launched a company last year, which I'm working on really sort of really hard behind the scenes with a group of creatives.
Right.
So I'm hoping that
Are you allowed to give anything away about what company it is, or is it top secret?
Well, I'll give you a little bit. I'll give you a bit of a clue. It's an art company, and we hope to work with a lot of young creatives in terms of putting artworks out there into the community and into the world in a different way that's not done at the moment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
No problem.
And we're going to have you stick around to talk about some other pieces of art which aren't yours, but really fascinating. And please look on your website for more information and any upcoming exhibitions any more information that you want to know about you.
Yeah, sure. And that's www.eugeneankomah.com.
What a great radio voice you have. Great. Well, thank you very much. We're now going to play a song for you. Hello. What a beautiful tune. That was Asaf Avidan, Your Anchor. So we now have Jo Gwatz joining us today to help. She's our resident film critic, usually, Eugene, but she's decided to become an art critic too.
I'm multifaceted.
I can see
that. If only I was like you, Jo. If only I was like you.
I know.
So we're here to talk now about Tilda Swinton, so as we have a great artist with us today, I thought we should discuss a piece of work which is currently being exhibited in New York's Museum of Modern Art. Now, this is a performance piece or a piece of live art involving a Scottish actress known for her role as the White Witch in the Narnia films, Tilda Swinton. Now, Tilda will spend up to 7 hours a session asleep in a glass case. She will be repeating the act half a dozen times and at random intervals in different rooms. Now, the staff do not even know when Swinton will be appearing in The Glass Cage. Swinton did the same stunt at the Serpentine Gallery in 1995 in collaboration with friend and Turner Prize-nominated artist Cornelia Parker. Now, Swinton says that the piece is really about the audience. It acts like a mirror. But MoMA, which is New York Museum of Modern Art, says in a statement, an integral part of the maybe, which is what the art piece is called, is that there is no published schedule for its appearance, no artist statement released, no museum statement beyond the brief context, no public profile or images used. Those who find it come across it by chance, and it is live and real, shared time. Now we see it, now we don't. And there's a notice beside the installation which states, well, I guess you could call it installation/person asleep, says, the maybe, living artist, glass, steel, mattress, pillow, linen, water and spectacles. So what do you guys think of this art? I mean, do you think that it's taking modern art a little bit, I think, making it a little bit pretentious? Because to an extent, I think that this piece of art, is it art? I mean, it's just a person sleeping. I love loads of different types of art and I'm open to loads of different concepts. But this particular piece, what are your views on it? Because I don't really know mine yet.
Well, I think the point of the issue, I would make a guess that the point of the artwork, rather, is to kind of take down this idea that art has to mean something to everyone, that it can't be subjective. You know, performance art, in my opinion, I'm not an expert, but it's largely about removing the hierarchical notion of what art should be. So it's only her sleeping that might not be the cup of tea for everyone, but if it means something to one person, it's good enough. That's art.
I
see it as a challenge. The point of the piece is challenge.
It is a challenge, but if anything, the piece is very much everyone sleeps, so everyone, everyone can relate to it, and I guess like holding up a mirror to everyone else asleep.
That's right.
But to me, it's kind of like, I understand that it can mean different things to different people, but ultimately, is one woman asleep? I mean,
But it's not just one woman asleep. You know, you can see an image or read a sentence and it can be, or see Tilda Swinton asleep, and it can mean so much more than that. I think the issue really is, are people comfortable with imposing their own consciousness on a piece of art? Are people comfortable with art that doesn't say, this is what I mean, this is what you're supposed to feel? Are they able to look at something and create the story themselves? You can invent a narrative behind her sleeping. It's up to you.
But a lot of art doesn't have that now. A lot of art doesn't have a narrative given to you.
That's a good point. If I can just comment on what Joe just said, you're very, very right in saying that we can all recognise what it is she's doing. She's obviously sleeping. Maybe part of the whole idea is that we even imagine what it is she's dreaming about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I remember thinking to myself that we all know that art works with symbolism, symbols and all that sort of stuff. And obviously she's an actress. She's famous. A lot of men desire her as a female. And I'm just thinking, is it that she's sort of like taking a leaf out of, a day in the life of Tilda
Yes.
and sort of sticking it out there, in terms of how the press may view her, do you know what I mean? And sort of like showing us, what it feels like to be her.
But it was almost like it's showing us.
Yes.
It's showing her off. It's
It
kind
is,
of like, for
it
me,
is.
it seemed a bit voyeuristic. I'm
No,
looking at this.
completely.
Yeah, but
I'm
maybe-
looking at someone
yeah.
sleeping. It's a celebrity. Behind glass, I
That's
can't
right.
touch it because it's a celebrity.
Well, exactly.
To me, it felt more like this wasn't about a person sleeping. It was about idolising
Yes.
the celebrity culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they've said that this piece is about the audience, is about what they deduce from the piece. I think it's clear that it's about objectification, how we hold up the
is.
female body particularly.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that reminded me of, interesting enough, was the famous painting by the Spanish artist Velázquez, the Venus Rockabye, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, apart from the fact that, Tilda isn't naked, it's more or less the same sort of thing. We walk around, we look at her, and you get all sorts of different things going through your mind depending on who you are. But it's also quite interesting how she's sort of listed the materials used in the work, so to speak. Glasses.
That could bring another female connotation about.
Yeah, so in a sense, it's almost as if she's like representing a moving live version of a painting. With its sort of materials.
But you could argue the fact that she's being listed as a big feminist kind of like
definitely.
stance, saying, she's just being a woman. Look at how everyone is so interested in looking at this woman asleep. She's being listed as living artist, bed, glasses, kind of as part of that object.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing is she's fully clothed. She's not sexualized in any way, I would argue.
You're right. Yeah. No, that's a very interesting point, actually. But my mind keeps going back to the idea of her sort of, it's almost as if, within her mind, she was influenced or inspired by a painting or something and is trying to become a living version of some sort of artwork she would have seen.
And, even if you just kind of take a simple interpretation, it's still quite an interesting piece, I think, because it's kind of emphasising the isolation of being a celebrity. We live in a time where we saw what happened to Michael Jackson and people who are in the spotlight. This is Tilda in the kind of white, empty MoMA. I don't know if you guys have been there, but...
It's
very true.
But another way you could look at it was that we're kind of suggesting that there's a massive celebrity... kind of feel about it, we're looking at the celebrity behind glass.
It brings up our celebrity obsessed culture.
Yeah,
this is famous because it's Tilda.
But that's But do you think this work would be nearly as powerful and give us this whole view about how you sleep, how you're isolated when you sleep, what's going on in your head, your dream world, if it wasn't her, if it wasn't a celebrity? Do you think it's important that it's a celebrity?
Yes,
and a woman for that matter.
Yes, but I think that is all deliberate on their part.
Yeah.
I don't think they're superficially putting her in it because she's famous. I think it's important that she is.
That's right. But it's quite interesting, actually, because you can't take her out of the context that she's a famous woman, and for me, that is part of the symbolism of the piece. She's a person that gets followed by the press, and you can't take those things out of the, of the person. Because in a sense, it's a bit like, working with a material that communicates a certain thing, in the minds of the viewer,
it's still a material.
into a piece. She has her story.
The thing that's interesting, I think, about it is that it shows I think celebrities are kind of put on this pedestal of being fabulous, being amazing, and it shows her doing a very human act, which ultimately every single person on this planet needs to do, and that is sleeping. It kind of de-levels, if that's even a word, de-levels her status of being the celebrity.
That's right, it does.
But in a way it doesn't at all, because everyone's staring at her. It's like it's a very human act made glorious in an art exhibition because it's a celebrity. It kind of highlights how perhaps out of control the celebrity culture
I think
has
it is
become.
about control.
Yes.
I think you hit the nail on the head with control. The gaze in this piece belongs to the audience. She is a subject. She's becoming a subject.
Even though even doing the most human act, which everyone has to do, is still being gazed at. Perhaps that's why I found it so difficult to get my head around. But actually, after speaking about it, makes it kind of change my view on it. But it's a very human act made completely glorified because it's a celebrity.
That's right.
And perhaps it's just a massive message showing this is how far the celebrity culture and our obsession with it's become.
Of course, and maybe she's just trying to say that, you sleep, I sleep. And if you were to come to my house, it's as simple as that, I have a bed just like you do. I put my glasses next to my bed.
Yeah.
I wake up, and go about my business, and then I come back. And maybe that is the reason why there's no, scripted sort of time as to when she pops in and when she pops out.
Yeah, because I was going to say, what do you think about the fact that it's sporadic?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point and something that I'm still sort of pondering on, really. But I do like the fact that there are no times, because it just means that it isn't trying to be sort of fake in any...
It's fluid and
that's
quite
right,
real.
Yeah, exactly, sporadic. It just springs up and springs off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps our obsession with celebrities. Sometimes we're obsessed with them and then sometimes they phase out and they're not anymore.
You see them being chased by photographers and then you don't see them.
Yeah, sometimes they're huge and sometimes no one gives a damn
element to it. That's right, yeah.
Anyway, I'm afraid we have to wrap that one up. But it's been really actually good talking about it. And if you want to look at it on YouTube, it's interesting because you just see her sleeping and loads of people walking around it. It's a very bizarre YouTube thing to watch because you're kind of watching the audience watch another thing. It's a lot of watching going on with one YouTube video. There's quite a lot to discuss about that in itself. But we're going to have a quick song and then we're going to be talking about insuring your body parts. That's all we're going to listen to is... Hello and welcome back to Breakfast with Phoebe. So now on a slightly different topic, we're going to discuss how people are insuring their body parts. Our fabulous guest, Eugene, has insured his hands for £1 million. Yeah?
Oh, yes.
And he is not alone in this. Lists of celebrities are insuring their body parts. For example, Heidi Klum has insured her legs for over $1 million. David Beckham has insured his body parts for up to £70 million. No, actually, that was dollars. And Mariah Carey has insured her legs for a reported, get ready for this, ladies and gentlemen, $1 billion. The list is endless. So Lloyds Bank in London is said to be the main provider of the most famous celebrity body part policies. But insuring body parts has been happening for years. It is said the practice originated with cross-eyed vaudevillian Ben Turpin, who would have collected $20,000 if his eyes had gone straight. I'm not really sure how your eyes can go straight or whatever. But the most unusual one has to be Van Halen singer David Lee Roth's, who, in 1981, claimed to have insured his sperm for $1 million. Dun, dun, dun.
A lot of babies.
A lot special. He must have some special sperm. So insuring body
Maybe
parts...
he wanted the insurance to cover the children born from his
that's
sperm, just
probably what
cover
he
their
meant to do,
livelihood.
Yeah, maybe.
No gosh.
But I just don't get the cross-eyed element. Like, if you're cross-eyed, what? How are you meant to go uncross-eyed? It's
Well,
bizarre.
not in that time.
Anyway, so insuring body parts, to me, makes perfect sense, apart from those, even the complete contradict what I just said. But it makes perfect sense because some people's livelihoods are because of certain parts of their body. For instance, an artist like you, you're insuring your body part, let's say your hand,
That's right.
because if anything was to happen to your hand, it could affect your livelihood and your living. Is that
Definitely.
why? So how did you decide to insure your body part?
Well,
your
to
hands?
be honest, as I've always done, I was just drawing obsessively and would meet with the family, and my cousin, one of my cousins particularly, would say to me, Eugene, you should insure your hands, and I thought it was a joke. And then she repeated it again, and then I think it was the third time, I just paused and I was like, wait a second. Do you know what? She really does have a point. So I just started looking into it, contacted a few people, and then I just took it from there, really. And then started the
So now
insurance
those
process.
hands are covered.
But since
They are.
But since you got them
Nice.
insured, do you feel more safe that like if anything was to happen to your hand, would you
Do you
gain
know
£1
what?
million?
It does give
Maybe
you a peace
should
of mind.
do it just to gain £1 million.
It does give you a peace of mind, actually. So I can sort of work and I don't know, use hammers and
Yeah.
well, not hit my fingers, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of like it just gives you that peace of mind, really.
Phoebe,
Just
I love what
keep
you just
working.
suggested. The only way Eugene can get that money is if something happens to his hands.
So you're
he'd
suggesting
have
I
to,
do it?
Yeah.
Well, you could kind of destroy his hands.
I'll
and
tell you
then
So
what,
you get his
I think it's
million.
about time I run from the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
get out of here.
I lock the door. No, but it's okay. So I think that there are some. Okay, I'm going to give an example. I don't think it's the best example, but for my feminist reasons. But this was what made me realise how insuring body parts actually makes loads of sense.
Sure.
So Holly Madison, the ex-Playboy bunny, has insured her breasts for $500,000 and states that if anything happened to my boobs, I'd be out for a few months and I'd probably be out of $1 million. They're my primary money makers right now. So, yeah, it makes sense. Her boobs, she's a... Look,
Did she
some
say
women in
they're
this
my
world,
primary
Joe, are
money
objectified, and she's objectified but openly enjoying it. And her boobs are what gives her money. People look at her boobs, and that's what her job is.
But you know what? It kind of
Like
reminds me.
Eugene's hands.
We're probably at fault here as as part of the public because we make them feel.
Of course we
Do
are.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're totally right.
I completely
So
agree.
that's what it is. So in a way, we can't really sort of sit back and complain.
Yeah,
We live in
it's
an
our reason.
absurdly
Well, that's what it
superficial
is.
society.
That's
So
what it is.
yeah, I agree.
We feed
'cause-
it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
feed the
yeah,
superficial
yeah.
society because when you have celebrities like Mariah Carey insuring
right,
her
yeah.
legs for £1 billion, her voice is what made her famous, not her legs. It
That's
makes
right,
it's
yeah.
nonsensical.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that makes it sensical, is that right? The things that makes it sensical is the fact that the public wouldn't
Yeah.
like her
Completely.
if she didn't have those legs or
That's right.
J-Lo's
Yeah.
bum.
That's
It's
right, that's
which
right.
kind of perhaps shows
yeah.
insulting
Yeah.
kind of society about how
It is.
vanity obsessed we are.
Most
Oh, yeah,
definitely, I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's kind of depressing to think of the Playboy bunny who kind of herself thinks that the reason why she's significant in the world is more to do with her breasts than her brain.
Exactly.
I mean, really, we shouldn't be treating human beings like that.
Yeah.
No, but if you've got competitions, is it competition? Things like ass of the year and all that sort of stuff, then it really does force people to start thinking about these things, doesn't it?
Sexiest woman of the year.
That's right,
if you become headless, you're not going to be the sexiest woman of the year.
No, you mean if you're bodiless? If you've got no body.
Something happens to part of your body.
If you're like one of those heads in Futurama.
But on another element, do you think that it's also a huge PR stunt? Because there was a wine company in 2004 who got their the top wine tasters, the senior wine tasters, they had all their palates insured.
Wow.
And as a result, loads of news covered it, and they got a ridiculous amount of press for their wine PR company.
Amazing. Yeah.
So do you think that this is just a great way of, everyone paying attention to J-Lo's arse? Or, I mean, did you get a lot of attention when you did it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was aware of what people would say and how it picked up and what the press would say about it. And it was sort of, I think, for the maybe like a year after I had done it, I was doing a TV interview, and I remember the presenter picking up on it, within the first few seconds of the interview.
Before even talking about your art?
Yeah, well, yeah, that was certainly...
Cut off his hands.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, yeah, you do get a lot of press about it, and you do get lots of people asking questions and all that, which is completely normal for me. I expected all that.
The thing I think, the reason why I wanted to talk about it with you, though, which was so interesting, is because I don't think for you, it wasn't vanity. It was to do with your livelihood. If something happened to your hands, and your livelihood, it's like a different way of looking at the idea of insuring certain body parts,
that's smart,
which I don't think is addressed at all in the media. In all the articles I was looking about it was all kind of very sexualized, their arse, their legs, their this, their that. It wasn't like the practical reason. Like if you're a builder, builders should get their hands also.
Well, I agree.
Insured. But I do agree that there's the difference. I'm not clear about the difference between health insurance and then specific body part insurance.
I don't get that.
I suspect.
You're covered.
Yeah, good point. I do suspect that health insurance is probably for your whole health, as a being. Whereas insuring a body part is specific, so
and I guess
to your
something
leg.
Specific to your hand,
That's
you will
right.
get £1 million.
Precisely, exactly.
You must make sure you look after your hands, because I think people might think they're doing a favour by cutting off your hands.
Yeah.
So you
can collect and claim.
Blackmail.
Make sure, exactly. Make sure you look after those hands. Make sure Joe doesn't go near them either.
But they are nice. They're nice hands.
Joe, if you were to get, they are beautiful hands.
I wouldn't actually insure my hands because they're so horrible.
No, but what if you had to insure a body part? What would you insure?
My brain.
Oh, that's
good
egotistical of you.
Yeah, I know. I feel it now
body
that
part,
I've said
not
it.
your brain.
Oh, I don't know. My ankles, maybe. My ankles. I've got.
Well, that's for
I got
vanity
good
reasons.
ankles.
So yours vanity because
because I'm not worried about any part of my body really. I'm most worried about my brain.
Yeah, no, that's quite right. At least it's not your boobs. Yeah, they'd be worrying. I think I'd insure my eyes.
Okay. Well, you have
just
nice
because,
eyes.
every time I go away,
reason?
people be like, "Oh, you've got nice blue eyes."
Yeah.
So completely vanity, but I like people telling me I have nice blue eyes.
Yeah.
So I'd insure them for 7 billion.
Whoa.
Yeah, maybe even 100 billion zillion gillion, because I have really nice blue eyes.
Look after them.
I know. Look after your ankles and really look after your hands.
So if you woke up and they had turned green, what would you do?
I'll get a bazillion grillion pounds.
Identity crisis.
That's it, yeah.
Cry. Anyway, well, thank you for talking about insuring body parts. And also, Eugene, just thank you hugely for coming in today and talking with us
That's all right, it's
about
been a pleasure.
art, about insuring body parts, about youth culture, pretty cool guy you've got sitting right next to me in a pretty cool outfit. And also to Stefan.
That's right.
Who is next to me right now and also videoing this. And he's been right, babe. So thank you. Now we're going to listen to Millionaire. Did that on purpose. Millionaire by Khalees and Work It by Missy Elliott.
Brilliant.
I'm afraid, though, that is all we have for this week. But I would like to say a massive thank you to Eugene for coming in today. And please look him up on his website to find out more information about his work, what he's up to, his exhibitions. There's a great YouTube clip which he did, all on his website. And I would also like to thank our wonderfully opinionated film critic, Joe Gwertz. Now, you've been listening to Breakfast with Phoebe. Have a great week and weekend, and tune in, same time, same place, the week after next. Goodbye.